Thank you, Congressman Aiken, for having this special order and for allowing me a few moments to talk about this very important topic. We hear a lot of times people on the other side of the aisle saying, well, you voted for this package, why aren't you voting for this package? And so I stand here tonight with you. I'm one of 16 members against all of them. So I can stand up here and tell you why I did
Reclaiming my time, I claim the same badge, yielding back.
You do. And Congressman, one of the things that I would say tonight as I come here, I don't have any charts and I don't have any graphs with me, but voted against all of them. So I can stand up here and tell you why I did
Reclaiming my time, I claim the same badge, yielding back.
You do. And Congressman, one of the things that I would say tonight as I come here, I don't have any charts and I don't have any graphs with me, but just a couple of weeks ago, I was home and my nephew's house burned down. And I walked in there with him as we went through that house, and his children were looking through just ashes, so if they had nothing left of even their memories. And when I go around back to my district, I've got some friends and some constituents who feel that way right now in this economy. The graphs aren't important to them. What they know is that they're suffering pain, and they're looking and worried about losing everything they have in their lives. But it's because of them, and it's because they understand that we can't wastefully spend money. We've got to make sure that the help we give them is directed and it's going to work, that we need to ask the tough questions. And there's one enormously tough fundamental question that we have to ask America tonight, and it's simply this. Last year, Americans lost $14 trillion of net value, net worth. The question we have, the question facing America today, is whether or not we are simply going to redistribute what's left or whether we're going to rebuild what we lost. Our friends on the other side of the aisle want to redistribute what's left. We have a program that will rebuild what was lost. And, Congressman, I'll tell you this.
Reclaiming my time for just a minute, because I'd like to underline what you said. You're working on the same assumption that has worked historically time after time, and that is to look to the productivity of the private sector to create wealth instead of government to redistribute it. You know, we just tax or don't tax, and we slop the money around, but we don't create anything in government.
And I'm not prepared.
I yield back. Yeah.
I'm not prepared to throw in the towel and say, let's just redistribute what's left. I think we can have a bold program that will rebuild what we lost and go beyond that. And the other thing that's very interesting is this. If you look at the bailouts that were spent last year, as we all know, those bailouts total almost the entire amount of discretionary spending Congress had in 2007. We're getting ready to double that. Once we do that, I think most Americans don't realize that we will not pay for that. We will give that to my granddaughter, who turns 2 years old on February 14th. But here's the cost we will pay until she reaches our age and one day pays it off. The interest carry on that alone equals the entire budgets for NASA, the National Science Foundation, the Department of Transportation, the entire cost of the White House, the entire cost of the Department of Justice, the entire cost of the FBI, the entire cost of the Department of Homeland Security, every Army Corps of Engineers project in the country, the Small Business Administration, and every expense of Congress combined. That's the interest we have thrown away for the next 20 or 30 years. And, Congressman, I would say this. When you come in and lay that on the budget table for this Congress, they have got to ask this. How do we pay for those lost budgets? They will do it either with massive, massive tax increases, which our economy could not withstand, or they will do it by having to find massive cuts somewhere else, and I would suggest one of the places is defense that they're going to go to. And let me just close with this. The other questions, when I go in the McDonald's and I go in the Sunday school classes and I just go to ordinary citizens who don't have the charts and they don't have the graphs and look them in the eye, just ask them this: have you received your check from the bailout yet? Because I guarantee you the CEOs on Wall Street have received theirs, and every one of them look at me and say no. And then you ask them, are you able to borrow more easily today than you could before all these bailouts start? And they look you back in the eye and they say no. And then I ask them, are you less worried about the future today than you were before the bailouts began? And they all say no. And then I ask them this simple question: if government would come to you today, would you feel better if we gave you a $6,700 check and said, here, you go pay down your credit cards, do whatever you want, or trust government to do it, what do you think their answer is? Give me the money. And so, Congressman, I would just say today, it's important we get this right. This stimulus package doesn't get it right. I believe we can rebuild instead of redistributing.